Hi, this is Virginia for Ebonstar Fiber Arts and Virginia Crafts, and today I am doing a quick how-to. I am going to show you how to do the last step to finish up one of these Persimmon Dumpling Pouches, and this is a pattern by So Sweetness, and I just wanted to show you how I close up the opening on the inside. Before I do that, I am going to point out this is a really cute project. It's a great scrap buster. And what I'm actually doing is I'm using up the scraps from when I made bowl cozies. So these are a whole stack of bowl cozies that I made. And each one is a square sewn together front and back. And so as a result, I had a whole bunch of strips left over. So I took the strips from these bowl cozies and sewed them together to form the pieces of cloth that form the outside of this Persimmon Dumpling Pouch. And it's a really simple, quick sew, and you end up with a really cute little zipper pouch. And you can see it's got a dumpling shape. Now I haven't finished this one yet, so it looks a little shapeless, but I'll show you how I finish this. So, I do not like hand sewing, so I went ahead and finished it using the sewing machine, so you can see how there's a line of stitches right here down the center. Now I used a thread that matches this lining fabric, because I'm trying to get to show as little as possible, but you can see that little line of stitches. And what happens is right now when I stopped, I left thread ends that are pretty long, so there's one on either side of this seam right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull them to one side of the seam. So I'm actually just going to tug on this side gently. You don't want to break your thread. And it's very hard to see, but there's a little, there it is, a little loop coming up. So I'm going to grab that loop with my sewing needle and just pull gently. So now I have both sides of my thread on one side of my seam. I'm going to bring it down so I can put this down so I can work. So I'm just going to do a regular knot, so one end over the other, tie, and then do it again. And some people like to put a little dot of glue on it to keep it. Because I'm going to bury my ends, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to use a sewing needle, and I want it to be a sharp one. I don't want it to be a dull one. I had a bunch of dull ones. It was a real pain to use. But as a result, it's got a little tiny eye. So I used my absolutely favorite tool. This is a needle threader, and it can do really big eyes, so if you're going to do yarn, this is great for yarn. It can do medium-sized thread, and then it can do fine sewing thread. So what happens is, now this part is really delicate, so what you want to do is be careful when you're working with this, or you can break the little piece of wire. So I'm putting the little piece of wire through my eye, just gently, but keep pushing and it will go. And then this piece of wire is open now, and I'm going to put the thread ends through it. Once I've got them through, I'm going to go ahead and pull my needle back off, so I'm pulling these threads through it. Now this is the part where you want to be gentle, because you can break your piece of metal if you do this. And notice only one managed to come through. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it again. So, and this also works if your thread is so thick that you can't do it two at a time. We're just going to do it again. So I'm going to go back through my eye. I'm holding the other piece of thread so that it doesn't pop out. I'm going to take this other piece of thread, and that's the reason it didn't come through, is you'll notice this piece of thread's shorter. So I'm just going to bring it through. It's got a couple millimeters space that it's come through. Then I'm going to wiggle again, and now I've got both ends of my thread through, and I'm just straightening them up. So I've got my needle threaded. And try not to poke yourself, because yes, it does hurt. Alright, so I'm going to find one of the holes that it came out of. I'm going to put it back through that hole, and then I'm going to bring it up through these two pieces of fabric. And y'all, it might take a couple tries to get it exactly where you want to, but that's okay. That's why you have a really sharp needle. Any holes that you make accidentally will close back up again, because this is a nice woven material. So I'm coming up right between these two, and then I just pull through. Make sure both sides are pulled through all the way so that you don't have any loops or any thread showing here. Pull off my thread, my needle, and then these are thread scissors. Specifically, they're nice and thin. They're only sharp at the very end of the blade, so you can get into those small pieces. And these are actually curved just a little bit, so that if you're cutting embroidery, when you're doing machine embroidery, you don't cut your hooped material. So I'm going to get right down in there between the two pieces of fabric, but I don't want to cut the fabric. And then I cut off my two pieces. So I'm going to do that for both sides. Okay, so I have both sides tied off and pulled through, so it's nice and pretty. The next step is I'm going to go take this and I'm going to iron all of the flat sides. So if it's stiffer material like vinyl, you can finger press it, and if I do a quick finger press, you'll be able to see the dimensions of this a little better. Really get in there. Remember, you can't hurt fabric. Get in there, give it a good squish, and then it will sit up nicely. The nice part about this is not only is it a scrap buster because I used up all of these strips of cloth that were left over from my bowl cozies, but I used zippers that were too long. So as a result, I ended up with ends of zippers. So here's the end of this zipper that ended up getting cut up. And what I do with this is I use it for tabs when I'm making little clip-on materials. So this is a 1/2 inch diameter ring, and it fits just perfectly, and it's just long enough so it can be sewn into a seam. And so now I can make either a wristlet or a cute little backpack charm. And in fact, let me show you what I did with this one. This is the smallest bunny from the Parker on the Porch floppy ear bunny, and you can see I went ahead and used a zipper tab, leftover zipper tape, to make him into a backpack charm or a purse charm. So now I can go ahead and clip him to whatever I want to. So I can clip it to a purse, you can give it to a kid and have them have cute little backpack charms, whatever you want to do with them. But this project ended up being really useful on multiple levels. Plus, it's cute. This is the small size. There's also a medium size, and then this is what the big size looks like, so you can see the differences in sizes. I will link the pattern for the bunny, which is a Parker on the Porch pattern. You do need a embroidery machine to be able to do the bunny. And then I will also link the Persimmon Pouches pattern, and that's by So Sweetness. And like I said, I really enjoyed doing it. And you'll notice that this one I used little tiny strips, this one I used bigger strips. It's really up to you. If you want to use a solid piece of cloth, you can do that. So hopefully this was helpful. I know not everybody likes doing hand sewing. I don't like doing hand sewing, but hopefully that will make your hand sewing easier for you in the future. And again, I highly recommend this thing. The needle threader makes it so much better. And this one is DMC brand, and you can find it on Amazon for a couple bucks. You can also get ones that just have the metal on it if you don't want to do big pieces of thread. But honestly, why not have all 3 pieces in case you need them in the future? So thank you so much for joining me. And again, this is Virginia for Ebony Fiber Arts and Virginia Crafts, and hope to see you again soon. Thanks. Let me know in the comments if you would like me to do a tutorial on the bowl cozies that I mentioned earlier. These are really quick, simple sews, make great Christmas presents, or I do sell these at my holiday markets. I could also do a quick tutorial on the Persimmon pouches if people are interested. And finally, the cute little floppy-eared bunny. If you want me to do a tutorial, again, let me know in the comments, and I hope to see y'all soon. Bye!